Hello, all. I'm glad to see you here. Welcome to the Excel for Boomers and Gen Xers tutorial series. My objective in these videos will be to take things slow and be as thorough as possible. After all, most Boomers and Gen Xers have learned the art of patience. If you're looking to learn Excel in a real hurry, you're in the wrong place. There are plenty of other video tutorials on Excel that promise to teach you really fast. In my humble opinion, some of them just talk too darn fast, so you have to keep pausing the video to catch up or play the video at 3/4 speed. They also want to try to cram a whole lot of information into a very short amount of time, so they end up skipping over some of the good stuff. I'd rather that we go at a little bit slower pace and be much more thorough. Let things sink in a bit before jumping into the next topic. So thanks for tuning in. I truly hope that this series is beneficial and is a worthy use of your valuable time. I do welcome all your comments and feedback. I promise that I won't take offense to any constructive criticism. In this chapter, we will start with opening Excel and creating your first workbook. And we'll see the spreadsheet window. Then I will explain all of the basic parts of the spreadsheet and the layout of the interface and window that you'll be working in. If possible, you might benefit from watching the video on one device and actually opening an Excel file on your computer so you can follow along. But if that's not possible, don't worry. The video is pretty self-explanatory. And of course, you can watch it more than once if necessary. Now, I am using a Macintosh computer, so if you're using a Windows PC, your window may look slightly different, but it should only be some very minor cosmetic differences. And you will use your PC's control key, while those with a Mac will use the Mac's command key. Now, down to the real meat of this tutorial. Let's get started. If you're following along on your own computer, go ahead and start up Excel by double-clicking on the Applications icon or by selecting it from your Run menu. Whenever Excel first starts up using this startup method, it should take you first to a screen that looks just like this one. As with many programs, you'll see a list of recently used workbooks that have been opened on this computer. You may also see several templates to choose from to create a new workbook. We will cover many of the other templates and other features in this view in future chapters. For now, we will start by creating a new blank worksheet by double-clicking right here. Now that we have a blank workbook opened up, let's go over the parts of it as well as the whole window. There's no reason to be intimidated by all the buttons and things in the window. We will go over the most important buttons and we'll cover the rest of them in future chapters. You'll find that a majority of the buttons are used only occasionally. To begin with, there are 6 general areas of the interface. We'll start from the top row. The customizable top row has several buttons that perform regular actions like saving the file, undo, redo, and a few others. We'll also see how to customize this area later. The name of the file, once it's saved, is also shown in the center. In the second row, there are several tab names, starting on the left with Home, then Insert, Draw, Page Layout, and so on. These tabs are selectors for different tool ribbons, which are located right below in this third area. Each ribbon has buttons that correspond with the functions according to the tab name. Below the ribbon is a fourth area containing the formula bar and the name box. The next area is the actual spreadsheet with its column and row headings and all the cells. This area is where all the magic happens. And if there are more cells being used than are being displayed, there are vertical and horizontal scroll bars that help you move up and down, left and right to see them all. Just below the horizontal scroll bar on the left side is a tab area. This is where you can select any additional sheets that are contained in this workbook file. Here you can add new sheets to the workbook and label each with a name and color. You can change the name by right-clicking on the tab and then typing your new name. Or you can just double-click on the tab and start typing your name. To change the color of the tab, just right-click and hold down and select a different color. This last area is the bottom row, in which the left side shows various information we'll go over later. You can right-click anywhere on the bottom row to see a menu of various things that can be displayed here. And over on the right, there are little icons that allow you to display the sheet in three different fashions. One is the regular view like this. Second is the page layout, which shows you pages as it's currently formatted. And you can click and see the entire spreadsheet in page break preview with the next icon. But most of the time, we'll always stay in the normal settings. Right next to that, there's a zoom control. You can change the zoom level from 10% to 400% just by clicking and dragging on this zoom slider. You can also click here to open a menu that will show you options. I'm currently got the spreadsheet open up at 200% just to make things easier to see. Well, let's talk about the spreadsheet and how to get around it. You can see that the columns are labeled with letters and that rows are labeled with numbers. Each column has its own unique combination of letters, starting with one letter, then two letters, then three, all the way up to XFD, for a total of 16,384 unique columns. Notice that when the cursor is over the center of the spreadsheet, it's in the shape of a plus sign. And when it's over the letters in a column heading, it changes to an arrow pointing down. But when the cursor is over the line between columns, it changes to two-headed arrows. When the cursor is two-headed like this, you can click and drag the line to make the columns to the left smaller or larger. When the cursor is facing down arrow, you can click to select a whole column. If you click and hold, you can select multiple columns. You can click anywhere to deselect. And if you select multiple columns like this and then click and drag with the two-headed arrow, you can change the size of multiple columns at the same time. Likewise, when the cursor is over the numbers in the row headings, it changes to an arrow pointing to the right. And if you click on the row heading, you can select the entire row. Or if you click and drag, you can drag over several rows to select. And likewise, if the arrow is two-headed, you can change the row height of multiple columns or single column just by dragging. Click anywhere outside of the selection to deselect. Every row has a unique number all the way up to 1,048,576. Now let's talk about actually entering information into the various cells. There are only three kinds of data that can be put into a cell. They are numbers, text, and formulas. And it's important to know and remember that what is displayed in the cell is the formatted view of the data you enter. Whenever you type a number and hit the return, enter, or tab key, that number is put into the data area of the cell. The data area, in this case contains a number, is then displayed according to the formatting that has been assigned to the cell. In the beginning, the format starts out as general. This is the default, which will show a number exactly the way you enter it. If you were to enter 5.0, it will keep the general format and display the number as 5. If you enter the number as 5.06, it will keep the number as general, but display it as 5.06. However, if you enter the number with a dollar sign first, the format will change to the currency format and display $5. As you can see here. If I was to enter 5 with no cents, when you first enter without cents, the format without cents is assigned to the cell. You can, of course, change the format later if you decide to. If the currency format in the cell has 2 decimal cents, if you later enter 5.035, the number will be displayed by rounding up to 504. The currency format has limited to dollars and cents. When you enter text, it will usually be displayed exactly as you entered it. But Excel adds a single hidden apostrophe to the very beginning of that text. The apostrophe tells Excel that whatever follows is to be treated and formatted as text. In fact, if you type a number with an apostrophe first, Excel will treat that number as text, and it will be formatted like text instead of like a number. This can cause difficulties and confusion when you're trying to get numbers to look a certain way. Generally speaking, Excel will still treat numbers that are formatted as text as numbers in formulas, as long as there aren't any non-numeric type characters in the cell. For example, this is treated as text and cannot be used in a formula. Excel is pretty good at figuring out what numbers are and what they aren't. To enter a formula in a cell, you must start with an equal sign. If you put anything else as the first character or forget the equal sign, Excel will treat the formula as text. But that's not what you see after you hit enter. Excel will actually compute the formula, and that's what you'll see in the result, even though the actual data that's in the cell is the formula, as shown here in the formula bar. The formula bar always shows exactly what data is in the cell. You can see and edit the data directly in the formula bar as well. So let's change that. As you can see, it recomputed the formula. If you were to write a formula in a cell and put an apostrophe in front of the equal sign, you'll be displaying that formula as text, and it will not compute. So remember, unless you have formatted a cell differently or entered an apostrophe first, Excel will always show text as text, a formula as the result of the formula, and a number according to the format of the cell. Every cell has lots of other attributes that affect how the cell contents are displayed, such as whether there's a border around the cell, what color the cell's background is, whether a cell is protected or hidden, and even attributes that know whether and when a formula needs to be recalculated. And there's a lot of other attributes I haven't even mentioned yet. In this figure, showing the anatomy of a cell, what you see in the cell can be very different than the data or information you entered. The data you type in is tucked away in the basement of the cell. In the cell, you will only see what is formatted to display. In the formula bar, you can see exactly what you entered. So, you've learned a bit about creating a spreadsheet and have a general understanding of the basic Excel user's interface and how a spreadsheet is laid out. In Chapter 2, we will build a simple spreadsheet so you can see how to apply what you've learned. As we build a simple home budget sheet, I will demonstrate various techniques that make laying out our sheet and putting data in it much simpler. We'll also cover how to format things to look good when on screen and when printed. I aim to keep these tutorials reasonably bite-sized so I can get them out more often. I plan to upload new videos each week, so please like, subscribe, and click the notifications so you'll know when to check back. Thank you for watching. I hope you will come back and see the next and future videos. As soon as I get the next chapter uploaded, you should be able to click right up here to go to it.